Decoding the Zodiac Predator, the beginning of the nightmare. On a December night in 1968, a nightmare began to creep into the quiet lives around the San Francisco Bay Area. David Faraday, 17, and Betty Lou Jensen, 16, two high school students, were enjoying their very first date on a small, secluded road near Lake Herman in Vallejo, California. It was a familiar spot for young couples, a place where they could talk and share the innocent feelings of first love. As David's car came to a stop, a strange vehicle suddenly appeared and blocked their way. David, a confused teenager, could see nothing but the glare of headlights behind him. A man stepped out, approached them with a gun in hand. There were no words, no threats, no robbery, only the deafening sound of gunfire shattering the stillness of the night. David was shot in the head, while Betty Lou, in a desperate attempt to flee, was struck in the back. Police later discovered their bodies, with no trace of the killer. The crime shocked the community, but was initially regarded as a random murder until the nightmare returned. Less than a year later, on July 4, 1969, the story repeated itself at Blue Rock Springs, a park just a few miles from the first crime scene. Michael Mageau, 19, and his girlfriend Darlene Ferrin, 22, were sitting in their car when a mysterious vehicle pulled up. The driver suddenly switched off the headlights, then circled back, shining a flashlight directly into their faces. Without a word, he opened fire on the couple. Darlene was killed, while Michael was severely wounded. After the attack, the killer placed an anonymous call to the Vallejo Police Department. His voice was calm, cold, as he claimed responsibility for the murder and added chillingly, "I killed those two last Christmas, and I did it again this time." That was the moment police and the public realized they were dealing with a serial killer, not only brutal, but also intent on playing a game with them. A predator had emerged, the duel of letters and ciphers. 1 month later, on July 31, 1969, three major newspapers in the San Francisco Bay Area, the San Francisco Examiner, the San Francisco Chronicle, and the Vallejo Times-Herald, simultaneously received strange letters. The writer claimed to be the killer, demanding that the newspapers publish his ciphers on the front page. If not, he threatened to set off bombs and go on a killing spree over the weekend. His symbol was a circle with a cross through it, the sign of the Zodiac, and he gave himself the nickname, Zodiac. The first letter challenged both the police and the public. It contained a 408-character cipher. Just a few days later, a high school teacher named Donald Hardin and his wife, Betty, managed to crack it. It read, "I like killing people because it's so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest because man is the most dangerous animal of all. Killing gives me the most thrilling experience. It's even better than getting your rocks off with a girl. The best part of it is that when I die I will be reborn in paradise. And all the people I have killed will become my slaves. I will not give you my name because you will try to slow down or stop my collecting of slaves for the afterlife." This chilling declaration sent shockwaves through the community. The killer was not only murdering people, but also boasting, showing utter contempt for human life. He was not merely deranged, he was deliberate, calculated, and determined to control his own narrative. Zodiac did not stop at just one letter. For years, he continued sending them, each one another piece of a massive, unsolved puzzle. He mocked the police, openly taunted them, and even revealed crime details that only the killer could have known. Zodiac's letters became symbols of mystery, embodying the fear that spread across the Bay Area. Threats and false clues. After sending his first letters, the Zodiac did not stop. He seemed to relish this deadly game of cat and mouse. On September 27, 1969, he struck again at Lake Berryessa. Brian Hartnell and his girlfriend, Cecilia Shepard, were camping when a man wearing a hood marked with the Zodiac symbol approached them. He forced them to lie down and tied them up. Without saying a word, he wrote a few lines on their car door and then coldly stabbed them multiple times. Brian miraculously survived, but Cecilia later died from her wounds. Less than 2 weeks later, on October 11, 1969, Paul Stein, a 29-year-old taxi driver, was shot dead inside his cab in San Francisco. This case was different from the earlier ones. It happened in a crowded residential neighborhood. And the victim was not a young couple. After the murder, the killer took the victim's wallet and a piece of his blood-stained shirt. Days later, another letter arrived at the San Francisco Chronicle. Enclosed was the piece of Paul Stein's shirt, serving as undeniable proof, along with a brazen confession and his boldest threat yet. He warned that he would shoot out the tires of a school bus and pick off the little darlings as they came bouncing out. The threat forced police to increase patrols and sent waves of panic through the community. The investigation soon hit a dead end. Despite having multiple suspects, police could not find convincing evidence to charge anyone. The Zodiac could have been anyone, anywhere. He had built a perfect disguise, a labyrinth of false leads and deceptions. He even sent another letter containing a complex cipher, claiming, "My name is in it." This cipher, later known as the 340 cipher, became one of his greatest challenges. The letters, the lies, and the disappearance. The Zodiac continued writing letters for years. Over time, they grew more complex and cryptic. In them, he not only boasted of his crimes but also planted false clues and lies to mislead investigators. He mocked the police, complained about movies made about him, and dropped enigmatic hints about his own identity. The 340 cipher baffled codebreakers for more than 50 years. Countless attempts were made, by FBI experts, amateur sleuths, and true crime enthusiasts alike. Then, in 2020, a team of amateur cryptographers, a US web designer, a Belgian software developer, and an Australian cipher expert, finally cracked it. But what they found was not a name. Instead, it was a meaningless message, laced with mockery and defiance. The 340 cipher contained no clue to the killer's identity. It was nothing more than one of Zodiac's cruel jokes. After 1974, Zodiac's letters grew fewer, then stopped altogether. Like a phantom, he vanished into nothingness, leaving behind one of the coldest cases in American history. Investigators scoured every lead, but no trace of the killer was ever found. In the end, Zodiac had won the very game he created. The legacy of a monster. More than 50 years later, the Zodiac Killer case remains an enigma. His identity is still an unanswered question. The police investigation never truly ended, but it no longer burns with urgency. Instead, it stands as a grim lesson in the limits of justice, a true horror story that has haunted generations. The Zodiac did more than kill people. He murdered trust, sowed fear, and proved that evil can sometimes slip through the cracks of justice. His crimes have become a cultural symbol, retold through films, books, and television, from David Fincher's film Zodiac to countless crime novels and documentaries. Even as time passes, the questions linger, tormenting investigators and true crime devotees alike. Who was the Zodiac Killer? Why did he kill? Is he still alive? And will we ever know the truth? His story is not just that of a murder case. It is a chilling reminder that sometimes, the most terrifying monsters are the ones we can never see.